Despite a matter of fact that there were positive contributions of our brothers, the whites, towards the economic, social, and religious development of our country and Africa as a continent at large, we realized that the opposition that was initiated by our forefathers was not based on the positive contributions of our brothers the whites towards the continent of Africa. In the same note, we realize that there were some negative contributions of our brothers towards the continent of Africa that forced our forefathers to demand for their independence. When we go deep into the history of our forefathers, historically we say history is the study of the past in relation to the present to predict the future. Our forefathers sat down and weighed their lives, irrespective of the contributions that were positively made by the whites towards their lives. They took a deep analysis to study the past, how they lived with their grandfathers, and compared it with the life they were living in the regime of the whites. We realized that before the whites came, there was no slave trade. We realized before the whites came, there was no monetary trade. We realized before the whites came, there was no legitimate trade. We realized before the whites came, there was no segregation, no religious differences. But as they came, our forefathers realized that they were being oppressed side by side. So it was because of oppression that our forefathers decided to unite and stage a rebellion and stage a resistance against the whites. So what do we pick from that history as owners of the company, leaders of our country? As democratic leaders of our country, we need to learn that in our system of leaderships, there are several things that oppress the masses. As the manager and the owner of the company, you must analyze critically and find out the things that oppress your workers, the terms and conditions applied upon your workers in the daily running of the activities of the company. It is because of all those factors that opposition arises. So I want to assure you that opposition will never arise from anything positive alone. Much as selfish people tend to impose opposition against positive things, there are many negative things that initiate opposition. In African history, we realize the scramble and partition and all rebellions that were staged by our forefathers came as the result of oppression. In the current generation, we realize that many riots, chaos, rivalry, and oppositions are being initiated with a claim for the demand of freedom. Every opposition leader has termed himself as a freedom fighter, as though he is fighting for freedom. They have failed to clearly describe and introduce themselves towards the masses of the country, informing them critically in all matters of truth that they are being oppressed. So in our current generation, there are several things that are oppressing people. Just like there were several things that were oppressing our forefathers that later on initiated the rebellions. In this current generation, companies need to sit down, settle matters with their workers. Companies need to sit down and analyze which things are oppressing their workers. The members of parliament and the leaders of our country at large need to sit down and analyze the things that are oppressing their masses. Otherwise, rebellions have become the order of the day and they are continuing. We expect rebellions anywhere, we expect oppression. And of course, resistance will always come as a clear indication that the members, the workers, and the masses are not satisfied with whatever is going on. As we keep on studying slowly about this chapter and theory concerning opposition, I want you to analytically look through it. Stay tuned for God and my country, Uganda.